Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, oh Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, oh Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh Jaya Nitya Sachinandana Nitya Sachinandana Nitya Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Jaya Nitya Gaura Chandra Jaya Nitya Gaura Chandra Jaya Nitya Gaura Chandra Jaya Gaura Hari. Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. निताई गौर प्रेमानंद हरिनाम संकीर्तन उन्होंने की है.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Today we are very, very fortunate to have the association of His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj. Maharaj is a very, very senior disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is a founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Maharaj has been serving the ISKCON community for the last 50 years. He had dedicated his life to Krishna and his devotees. So he has been visiting this area of America, western part. As long as I remember, it's more than 20 years. Before my son Shikhar was born, I got introduced to Maharaj, basically. So whenever he visits to Portland, he is so kind and compassionate that he would actually take some time for all of us to come all the way from Portland to Corvallis and give his association for the benefit of all of us. So, and also, one more thing is, he is an initiating spiritual master in ISKCON, and he gives Harinama Diksha also to qualified devotees. So, let us all express our sincere, heartfelt gratitude for Maharaj by loudly chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Please raise your hands and say Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Dear Maharaj, actually with your kind permission, I wanted to introduce you the Corvallis families who regularly are coming for Bhakti Vriksha and who had actually organized Damodar last month, Damodar programs at their houses very, very beautifully and invited 50 plus guests and made nice prasadam and gave an opportunity to so many people to offer Ghilam to Lord Damodar Maharaj. Just want to, 4 or 5 families, important families, I just want to introduce you. They're very new actually, but still they are coming regularly to every Saturday Bhakti Vriksha and reading Bhagavad Gita and asking wonderful questions, Maharaj. And also helping me a lot in making prasadam and everything. If you could kindly give 5 minutes.
You got the microphone.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. So I wanted to introduce first Shankar Prabhu. So this Prabhu is coming very, very regularly, and he, I think, lives nearby Mayapur, Maharaj. And he went so many times to Mayapur and he visited, he had the darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is actually helping me a lot in bringing students and actually dropping them. We are a little bit away from Corvallis, so he always helps me in. Can you stand up and say Hare Krishna to Maharaj, please?
Keep it, for the sake of everybody that doesn't know everybody, keep it simple.
Okay, sure.
Please.
Sure. And another family is Vadi Mataji, can you stand up? They are regular visitors to Bhakti Vriksha, family. Kids are sick and Prabhu went to Japan or something like that for a conference or something like that. So they are very regularly coming. Please bless them, Maharaj. And then Munindra Prabhu Kamini, and can you please stand up? So very wonderful couple, Maharaj. And he lives actually 70 kilometers near to Madura, his native place is. And very, very pious family. They have 2 children and they are coming regularly and hosted Damodara Puja and very nice actually. So thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Pavan Prabhu and Smita Mataji, could you please stand up? So Pavan and Smita and their daughter. So they are very wonderful couple who are regularly attending Bhakti Vriksha and helping me and hosted Damodara Puja very nicely. Hare Krishna. Please bless them, Maharaj. And then Spurti and Neeraj Prabhu, could you please stand? So Spurti and Neeraj Prabhu, they recently got introduced to Krishna consciousness, but they are very sincere. They hosted Damodar Puja and they are willing to come Bhakti Ruksha every week. They started coming, in fact. Thank you so much for coming. Please bless them. She's pregnant and expecting a baby. So please bless them. And then two more families. Sangeeta, and can you please, Sangeeta Agarwal, please. And Prabhu, actually she met Srila Prabhupada. Last time also, long back she met with you, Maharaj. She was meeting Srila Prabhupada when Srila Prabhupada was there. So
Where? In Juhu. You were a little girl. How old were you? 10, 11. You have strong memory?
Yes, I do.
Ooh. In addition to classes at the Juhu temple or additional?
My mom would take me.
But so attending classes was the main interaction? Me too, but I was a little older, 10, 11.
thank you so much. And the last family is Arjit Prabhu and Seema Mataji. They're very nice couple. They used to come regularly, but in between they took little break. Again, they rejoined, and they are willing to come for all the programs, attended all the programs. Hemant Prabhu and Sheetal Mataji. Please stand up. Very nice couple, Maharaj. So right from the beginning of Krishna, our programs, they are coming and they're having actually. They hosted Damodara Puja and also we invited so many guests, and please bless all of these Kurvalis families, Maharaj, and also students, sorry. Alok Prabhu and Geeta Mataji, please. Families has increased. So Alok Prabhu went for his son's class, and they are very wonderful couple, and her mom is a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and she always does lots and lots of decorations, and they are so much interested in coming and learning Bhagavad Gita. So please come. So students, Disha, only one student came because students are having exams. Disha, say Hare Krishna to Maharaj. Get up.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Let me have the microphone.
Thank you so much.
You either, those of you that were asked to stand up, you either feel honored or embarrassed, but I hope it's on the being honored without having to. I've never had this experience where people have to stand up and take a bow. But nice to have you come. My understanding is that there are some or a number of you from Corvallis that are a little on the newer side. And so the topic that was requested of me to speak about was the process of devotional service. There's 9 activities in devotional service. And the one who expresses them is pictured on the screen here. That's Prahlad Maharaj. Now, many of you know, and some of you may not know, so I'm just going to introduce you to who is Prahlad Maharaj. Are you Prahlad Maharaj? Yeah, he just moved where he could see. Right, Paul? The story of Prahlad Maharaj is in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's an exchange with Yamaraj. And Yamaraj expresses to his assistants, the Yamadutas, who are the 12 outstanding authorities of mankind through all the history of mankind. Yamaraj is one, and that means there's 11 more. And one of those 11 is Prahlad, one of the greatest authorities in the whole of the history of mankind. So that's a high pedestal. And his life story is unique in many ways. Being a perfected soul in the family of just the opposite. During the first of the 4 yugas, Satya Yuga, there was a super demoniac personality named Hiranyakashipu who wanted immortality, etc., etc., and he underwent long, long austerities with the idea that he would get a benediction from Lord Brahma to become immortal. That's Prahlad's father. And Lord Brahma said, I can't give you immortality because I myself am not immortal. You can't give to somebody something you don't have. So ask for something I can give you. And being a clever person, Hiranyakashipu tried to create a situation where he could be immortal. Well, I can't be killed this way, that way, the other way. Okay. I can't die this way, that way, the other way. Okay. And it won't be a day or night. Okay. It won't be inside or outside. Okay. It won't be in the sky, the land, or the air. The sky, the land, or water. Okay. Check, check, check. So he thought he outsmarted Brahma. So after his benediction, he came back to his palace, and his pregnant wife, Kayadu was his wife's name, before he went off to do his austerities, she had become pregnant. There's a whole story, but I won't tell the whole story because I want to speak about the 9 processes of bhakti. You don't sit in the back, sit in the front. We saved you room in the front. You want to go sit in the back. Don't sit in the back, sit in the front. Sit wherever you want. Okay. Okay. Close the front door. It's cold. Front row seats are nice. When Hiranyakashipu came back from his austerities, long period of time performing austerities, his wife Kayadu also came back. There's some history. She was protected by Narada Muni because when Hiranyakashipu was off in the forest doing his austerities, the demigods thought, now's our chance, because Hiranyakashipu had taken over the kingdom of heaven. He not only could travel to heaven, he could conquer heaven. And they all vacated because he was such a powerful demoniac person. So when the demigods invaded their kingdom, which had been usurped by Hiranyakashipu, they found a pregnant wife. And so they thought, uh-oh, Hiranyakashipu Jr. in the womb of his pregnant wife. So they had a plan to keep her captive, Kayadu, captive, until the child was born and then kill the child. Narada Muni came at the right time and said the right thing, as he always does, and said, wait a minute. It was good while it lasted. Something about classes and small children, they don't seem to go well together. They get a little restless, I guess. So Narada Muni said, don't kill the child in her womb. He is a great soul. Narada Muni had the ability to know, even before the child was born, that he was a great soul. So he requested them, put her in my custody. I have a place in my ashram where she can stay, and she'll be safe. So when she went to Narada Muni's ashram, she made a request. Narada Muni, you're a great personality. Can you grant me one benediction that my child is not born until my husband comes back from his austerities? And Narada said, so be it. So for a long time, as long as he was in the forest doing his austerities, the child was in her womb. And Narada Muni did what Narada Muni likes to do. He was giving instructions in scripture. And she heard the instructions from Narada Muni, but also the child in her womb heard the same instructions. And after some time, her husband finished his austerities, got his benediction, went back. She was given the word that he's back, so she went back. And then Prahlad was born. The son of Kayadu and Hiranyakashipu was born. So he, Prahlad, had the capacity to remember everything that he heard while within the womb of his mother. And it is said about his mother, she also received the same benefit. She heard the same thing, but she forgot. And one of the reasons for her forgetting was she was very attached to her husband, and her husband was not a nice man. He was a demon. So she forgot everything. But Prahlad, being an elevated soul, even before he heard from Narada, he remembered everything. So from childhood, the father, Hiranyakashipu, wanted his son to become like him. Fathers like sons to become like them. And he was a demon. So he wanted his son to become a nice little demon. And Prahlad didn't have any interest in what his father had interest in. He had interest in what he heard from his teacher, Narada. He had interest in becoming a devotee of Vishnu, or living his life in devotion to Vishnu. So that was a little bit of a problem. Not only, sometimes fathers have sons that want to go this way or that way, that's okay. But you have a super demon, and it wasn't okay. It created a big problem. And so here's a little text. Prahlad grew up to become an ardent devotee of Vishnu because of his hearing from Narada. Narada passed it on to him. And his father had a different idea. He wanted him to be ruthless and demoniac like him, and tried to educate him in that way. And so Hiranyakashipu, put him in charge of the sons of Shukracharya. As you probably know, Shukracharya is the guru of the demons. Shukracharya. So Shukracharya had two sons, Shanta and Amarka. So Prahlad, was put in the school with the other boys. Now we say those who learn from a guru, they go to school at the Gurukula. So we have this ISKCON joke and say he went to Asura Kula. How to become a nice little Asura. And so a loving father attached to his darling little boy, one day he placed him on his lap and he asked a question fathers might ask their son. What's the best thing that he studied from his teachers? Now, Hiranyakashipu, was thinking Shanta and Amarka were his teachers. So what's the best thing you learned from your teachers? But as far as Prahlad was concerned, that's not my teachers. Narada's my teacher. And so he made the following statement to his father. It's this is a paraphrasing of one of the verses. He replied that a man who is engrossed in material consciousness of duality thinking, this is mine and that belongs to my enemy, should give up his householder life and go to the forest and worship the Supreme Lord. Just what his father wanted to hear, right? So his father became irate. He literally pushed him off his lap onto the ground and screamed for the teachers and ordered them, "Who has corrupted my son?" And they said, we're right on top of the situation. There was no one that came and corrupted him. All right, then you train him up properly to be a nice asura. So they tried and they tried and they tried, and it bounced because he didn't have any interest in that. He had a different interest. And they said the same thing. Where'd you learn all this Vishnu Bhakti thing? And he let them know that you wouldn't understand it even if I told you. Basically is what he said. So then another time, Hiranyakashipu again put his son on his lap and asked him the best thing that he had learned from his teacher. This is verses from the 7th canto, chapter 5, Bhagavatam. And Prahlad began praising the best thing I've learned is devotional service. And he listed them. So we'll see the verse in a moment. And he praised the process of devotional service. His father became irate. And he ordered that his son should be killed. Well, he tried. The people that tried to do it, they failed and they failed and they failed. Tried this and that and the other thing. Fire, pushed him off a cliff, trampled under the feet of an elephant, etc. Murder of his son. And he was protected time and again and again and again and again. And his father was asking, where is he getting his power from? And Prahlad said, from the same place you are, Dad. Vishnu. Whoa. So what the 9 processes of devotional service are listed here. You see the verse 7.5.23. So this is our topic for today's discussion, and I'm going to go in another direction with it. So those of you that know the verse, you can say with me, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishno Pnaranam Pada Sevanam Varchanam Bandhanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So there's 9 that starts with Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu. Now everyone is hearing and chanting about something, and all that's needed is just to chant the subject matter from something to Vishnu. We hear and we make sounds. That process of hearing, the ear and the tongue are engaged in that which is in relation to Vishnu. Both make the process of devotional service. And hearing and chanting about Vishnu brings cleansing of consciousness, because consciousness in material situation is covered, and you remove the covering, and what's left? The original consciousness of the living entity. And that original consciousness of the living entity is identified by smaranam, that which we have forgotten. Our relationship with the supreme source of everything has been forgotten by material consciousness. But that's removed, then there's remembrance, smaranam. And you continue with those 3, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Then comes what the goddess of fortune does. Pada Sevanam. Or one can worship the deity form and approach the deity form, beginning with the feet of the deity, etc. Pada Sevanam. So that makes 4. And that means there's 5 more. So Archanam, that's deity worship. Vandanam, offering prayers. All spiritual practices in the world have prayers. They may not have deity, but there's some worship of something. So that makes two more. Archanam, Vandanam. Then Dasyam means servitorship in relation to the Supreme Lord. Sakyam, becoming a friend of the Supreme Lord. Of course, subset of that being a friend is the other processes also. Hare Krishna. Sakyam. And then finally, Atma Nivedanam. Atma Nivedanam means dedication of everything. Body, Atma can mean it can mean the mind, it can mean the body, the very self. Atma Nivedana, dedication of body, mind, and self to service to the Supreme. So that's the 9 processes of devotional service. Generally speaking, the process of devotional service begins with Shravanam. And after Shravanam comes repeating, making that sound that we've heard, just like in Kirtan. Someone's singing, we listen. And after singing, whatever the melody is, we respond by Kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam. Very simple. Same thing that everyone does, but it's with the sound as a spiritual sound. And because names of God, or Bhagavad Gita, the message of God, or Bhagavatam, the message about God, message about Bhagavan is Bhagavata, the book Bhagavata, and the person Bhagavata, Bhagavat. This is the Kirtanam process. So that's how it begins. And then progressively, some like other forms of service, like deity worship, etc., etc. So any one of the 9, or any combination of the 9, or all 9, can bring the stage of perfection. There's ample texts that describe someone who achieved perfection by Shravanam. Someone that achieved perfection by Shravanam. Maharaj Parikshit by hearing from Shukadev. Shukadev by Kirtanam. And so forth. By the process of devotional service, purification, that's the covering, can become cleansed, and awakening of the original consciousness, those 2 things, cleansing and awakening. The idea, the understanding is, what the process of devotional service is awakening is something that's already there. It's very simple. Like a seed. Probably over there in the kitchen you have lentils or something, some kind of seeds or beans or something. And inside there's life, and they can sit in a jar or a bag for a long, long time. Life is inside. It's got a nice covering. It's a preserved way. And after some time, if you want to sprout that seed or that lentil, it's a very simple process. You put it in an atmosphere that the life that's inside will come out, and it comes out. And the covering is cast to the side, and there comes whatever was inside, whatever that activity was. I have a friend. I have many friends. One of those friends was curious. He's really good with growing tulsi. I'll reserve his name, a god brother. And he had this idea, I wonder if I can take the pit of a mango and make a mango tree. So he created a nice atmosphere, and he planted, or he covered and kept, the right amount of moisture and humidity and everything. And from a pot came a little mango tree. Now, and then he got a bigger pot and a bigger pot. He doesn't put it in his backyard because he's from a climate mango trees aren't going to grow. But it proved to him, inside that seed of a mango is a mango tree. Similarly, within this body, there's a soul, Atma, and the consciousness of the Atma is covered, and there's a process to remove the covering. And that the full, gradual stages of maturing of the consciousness of the soul become awakened. That's what devotional service is, the bhakti process. The process of awakening what's already there. And it's everywhere. Wherever there's a soul, there's lots of souls. Not just human, lots of souls. And all different species of life. Without listing the different species. Lots of different species. And subdivisions of those species. And within everything that's alive, that which is alive is the soul, and within the soul, there's the seed of bhakti to the Supreme. It's already there. It just has to be awakened. And the process of devotional service awakens it, and it starts with sound. Shravanam. And then kirtanam. During our evening classes, one of the messages we heard is a message from Padma Purana. In Padma Purana, there's a description of two parrots that Sita, when she was a young girl, she heard them reciting passages from Ramayana. She heard about Sita and Ram got married, and they did this, and they did that, and she was fascinated. Who's this man I'm going to marry? Where'd you hear all this? So she realized they were divine parrots. They weren't just ordinary parrots, and therefore they could answer questions. And they said, we used to live in the forest, and in the forest where we used to live in, it was by the ashram of Valmiki. And every day, for hours, he would recite. And these two boys, they would sing, Love and Kush, they would sing these songs. No, not Love and Kush, they weren't born yet. He would sing Valmiki. And so we just heard what we heard, and we heard it so many times, we then remembered Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. So then she wanted, can you tell me more? And he said, well, we can't tell you more, we only know what we heard. She said, I want to know more. She was acting out of character. She became very demanding. And she said, you know what? I'm going to put one of you in the cage. And she took the female parrot and put the female parrot in the cage and closed the cage. And she said, don't do this. I'm pregnant. I want to be with my husband. And she said, not until you tell me the answer to the questions I'm asking. I can't answer because... And she cried and cried, and she died. And when the male parrot, heard that his wife had died, he, the male parrot, cursed Sita. As I had to be separated from my wife, and my wife had to be separated from me, you will also, I curse you, you will also have to undergo the same situation, pregnant and separated from your husband. And he died, and he entered into the water. Because a bird, we heard this the other day, because a bird is born twice. What does that mean? The first birth is an egg, and then when the egg hatches is a second birth. So it's common, at least in Sanskrit, a bird is called Dvija. But a Brahmin is also called Dvija, twice born. And because a Dvija made a pronouncement, it had to come true. And so sure enough, what he pronounced, what the parrot pronounced before he left his body, was Sita had to undergo that tribulation. So it was fated by Of course, Sita isn't subject to this kind of behavior, nor does the curse of anybody. But it's just Padma Purana's explanation of why Sita had to undergo the tribulation she underwent. No fault to Ram. It was just her mistake and her offense to Advija and the consequence of offending Advija. The offense went back to her. Anyway, the process, why am I telling you all that? I forget why I'm telling you all that. The process of devotional service begins with hearing and chanting, and the original consciousness is revived. And that's the Vishnu Smaranam. So there's a nice verse that is often quoted by Vaishnavas that says, the English translation is, always remember Vishnu, never forget Vishnu. That principle is the principle that all other vidhis, or rules and regulations, are the servants of. Those of you who know the verse, you can say it with me. Smartavya satatam vishnor vismartavyo najatuchit sarva vidhi nisedhasyor etayor eva kinkara. Kinkara means servant. Kinkara. All other vidhis are kinkaras of that one principle. What's the one principle? Always remember and never forget. Checkmate. Always remember, never forget. Vishnu. So Prahlad was absorbed in the practice of Vishnu, but there's something that I wanted to say in addition to the 9 processes of devotional service. Those processes are not mechanical. Rather, they're devotional processes. And the essence of the devotional process is, what's the essence of devotional process? Pleasing Vishnu, pleasing Krishna. So I wanted to speak about this even more than the 9 processes of devotional service. Bhakti from the heart. So bhakti, though any one of these 9 or combination, is to be done from the heart. So here's a little graphic presentation to expand on that idea. Sometimes we're in the world of duality, and sometimes it's higher and brighter, and sometimes it's darker. At times our heart may feel murky, closed off, or inaccessible. Other times things are going very nicely. We're very happy. You're a senior, so we want to honor you. You can sit there. You be happy. We just want you to be happy. Senior Mataji just came in, so we're honoring her. The world that we live in is a world of duality. Duality means sometimes and sometimes. Like Bhagavad Gita teaches. Matras parsha sukonteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama payo nityas tangstatiksha svabharata. There's duality, sometimes and sometimes. Now it's getting colder. Pretty cold. It's almost cold enough to snow. And then sometimes it's nice and warm. Sometimes it's day, sometimes it's night. Sometimes there's honor, sometimes there's dishonor, sometimes there's happiness, sometimes there's distress. Stick around, and you'll find duality. And whenever it's this, wait a while, it's going to be that. Just nature of the place. So the heart is also subjected to those kind of movements, sometimes and sometimes. In a world of constant change and many demands, how can we reach the stage where our heart is always soft and compassionately giving? That's ideal. Is it reachable? It's reachable. How is it reachable? It's reachable by bhakti, by the process of devotional service. That is to say, it's our original consciousness. So you remove the coverings, and what's left? You have original consciousness. Now, there are some philosophies that say you remove the coverings and you have nothing. So ultimately, you're nothing. Or there are other philosophies that say ultimately, you're Brahman. And then there are different ideas of what is Brahman. Somebody from Houston, Texas, nice man, wrote a letter saying, I've been reading Bhagavad Gita, and in the glossary of Bhagavad Gita, there are 4 different applications of the word Brahman. And I'm confused. Sometimes Brahman is used to indicate the jiva, like Aham Brahmasmi. Sometimes Brahman is used to indicate Mahad Brahman, meaning the total material substance, because the total material substance comes from Brahman, the source of everything. So Mahad Brahman is sometimes used. And sometimes Brahman, there's a third one, sometimes used to indicate the impersonal, all-pervasive feature of the Supreme. And sometimes Brahman is used to indicate the Supreme Brahman, the source of everything, the Supreme Person. So if one who's inexperienced bumps into one of these 4, they think, oh, that's it. Then they hear that one. Oh, that's it. Then there's 2 more. One can get confused. So it's good to get unconfused. And the way to get unconfused when there's confusion is you go to someone who's not confused. You go to the Supreme Person, or one who is so closely connected to the Supreme Person, they can explain the Supreme Person means this. It doesn't require interpretation. It's context specific. Because right within Bhagavad Gita, within the text of Bhagavad Gita, these 4 are used. They need a realized person who's understood from disciplic succession, because Krishna says that's how he's to be understood, and not otherwise. Or that's how the science of Bhagavad Gita is to be understood, through disciplic succession, and not otherwise. So continuous devotional service is the solution made in Bhagavad Gita and in writings in relation to the devotional service, how to go on the other side of duality. Wouldn't that be nice? Duality may still be there. Duality is going to continue, but is it possible to go beyond the impact of duality on your life, happiness and distress, honor and dishonor, pleasure and pain, winter and summer season? Chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita. The initial thing that Krishna says in that verse is, you tolerate it. Is there a possibility to go beyond it? Not just tolerate it? Yes. How? By consciousness. Our original consciousness is beyond duality. And that original consciousness is recommended in Bhagavad Gita through devotional service to Krishna. And here's a nice verse written by a nice devotee whose name is Rupa Goswami. Who's Rupa Goswami, for those of you that are a little newer? Rupa Goswami is the principal person, one of the principal, or you could say the principal person, that Lord Chaitanya instructed to understand the process of devotional service. Thoroughly, for months, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed Rupa Goswami in the science of devotional service. And Lord Chaitanya empowered Rupa Goswami to understand everything that he said, to realize everything that he said. The restless little ones, there they go. You're very kind to take care of the little ones. somehow, without saying anything, the radar signal went out. We're restless. Take us out of here. Okay, so Rupa Goswami would not only heard and not only understood and realized, but he was also empowered to write all these teachings of devotional service. And so the principle, or one of the principal books that he wrote, was about Bhakti. Bhakti, Rasa, there she is, sitting over there by the kitchen. Bhakti Rasa, Amrita. Amrita means nectar, and Sindhu means ocean. Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu. That's the title of his book. You see it across the top of the screen. So he wrote a book about the ocean of the nectar of devotion. And this is this particular verse that's on the screen is a definition of what devotional service is, because our topic was the 9 processes of devotional service. Here's a definition. What's devotional service? 9 processes of which there are. So let's say the verse together. Anyabhilashata shunyam jnana karma janavritam anukulyena krishnano shilanam bhaktir uttama. So Bhakti is uttama. Uttama means topmost. Or bhakti is pure. There's things that are not pure. What are the things that are not pure? They're not pure bhakti. That's in the first 2 lines. Where jnana and karma, anavritam, they're absent. They're missing. There's no fruitive intention. Let me do this to get that. Pure bhakti doesn't have that element. It's you do because it's who you are. And there's the person who I love, and I want to be engaged in my loving relationship, not I do this to get that. So when karma is missing or absent, and jnana, or the tendency to try to understand things by speculative knowledge, there's no need. In fact, it's absent when devotional service is pure. Okay, so that's what bhakti isn't, and then what bhakti is. And that's in the 3rd line. Anukulyena krishnano shilanam. Shila means behavior or conduct or what you do. Shilanam. And behavior where it's Krishna anu, it's in pursuance of that which is pleasing to Krishna. And anukulyena means you accept those things that are pleasing to Krishna. The implicit is you reject things that are not pleasing to Krishna. Let's take, for example, I don't know if any of your newer members have any issues within the home or with relatives about your eating habits. But the Hare Krishna movement is not a vegetarian movement, it's a devotional movement. And when one takes up the process of, I do what this verse is saying, that which is pleasing to Krishna, implicit is I don't do the things that are not pleasing to Krishna. It's very simple. My life is for pleasing Krishna. That's bhakti. So if my life is for pleasing Krishna, what does Krishna want? He's right in Bhagavad Gita. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati. So Krishna says, if you offer me with love and devotion, what does Krishna need a leaf for? Or a flower? Or a fruit? Or water? He doesn't. But if you offer with love, he'll accept. And when he accepts, then you take that which has been offered to Krishna as prasad. The mercy of Krishna. And that becomes what you eat. So you become, it's a subset. You don't have to be, become a vegetarian. You can become a vegetarian, but do it for Krishna. And if you do things for Krishna, it's already built into. It's not a vegetarian movement, it's a devotional movement. Devotional process. And then there's subsets of things that fit under the category of devotional process. Because this is, our topic is 9 processes of devotional service. It's a subset. Take anything else. You don't lie, don't steal, don't this and that, the other thing. So we don't steal, we don't lie. Why? Because it's not pleasing to Krishna. If you live your life by that principle, you're clean. Cleanliness, we spoke about this the other day, the other morning class. Cleanliness. Because it's pleasing to Krishna. Now, some of you are parents, and you have children, if you're parents, and you may want your children to brush their teeth and take a bath and put on clean clothes and, maintain standards of cleanliness. That's just fine. But there's a subset. The training of your children is, if bhakti is somehow awakened, somehow, and how does that somehow? You have it and you share it. That's how it happens. If you don't have it, you can't share it. Just like Prahlad. He got it from Narada, not from Dad. And it stayed with him because he was a great soul. Even in opposition, even when there was threat of life, it didn't leave because it was inside. So when something is inside like that, then other good things become subsets of that one good thing. Is it clear? Here's the translation of that nice verse in Sanskrit. The highest bhakti, that's bhaktir uttama, is defined as continuous service or emotions directed towards Krishna, his expansion forms or others related to him, underlined with a pleasing attitude towards Krishna. So that's the essence of bhakti. There's processes, 9, and the essence is with a pleasing attitude towards Krishna. And if the pleasing attitude towards Krishna is there, everything else will follow. That's our elderly citizen over here. Gotcha. So they'll say the same thing in a different way. Same thing. This is that definition of Rupa Goswami, what bhakti is, and you'll see a lot of hearts in this. What's at the heart of bhakti? Well, the heart of bhakti, there's several hearts. Look at this. The heart within the heart within the heart. So at the very center is anukulyena. You remember that from the Sanskrit. Anukulyena is at the heart of the heart of the heart of bhakti. That is, the Krishna is to be pleased. There's an intention in my life and in what I do that makes up my life. The intention is to please Krishna. What I eat, how I make clean the place where I work, or make the outside clean, make the inside clean, because it's pleasing to Krishna. And then there's other elements that next circle out. There's the object that is to be pleased. Krishna is the object of seva. Krishna anushilana. Krishna anushilana. And then on the outer circle, there's the 9 processes of bhakti. That's where we started. But that's not the inner circle. The inner circle is Krishna is the object, and the center, the heart of the heart of the heart, is my intention is to please Krishna. Now, material consciousness is not. It's covered. I mean, it's there, it's dormant. Like within the seed, there's life. It just has to be sprouted. But it's dormant. Life is dormant within the seed. Whether it's a mango tree or a whatever it is, something in your kitchen. Whatever it is, a lentil. You can sprout a whole bunch. You can make sprouts right in your kitchen because there's life inside that seed. And you just have to know the process to bring the life out. Then you make sprouts. Or you make bhakti happen because it's already there. And the heart of the heart of the heart of bhakti is the intention to please Krishna. So that's covered. So instead, my intention is something else. Fill in the blank. Generally, it means please the mind or please the senses. But the mind and senses are never going to be pleased or satisfied without the heart. Try it. That's called material life. And it's not satisfying. Yenatma suprasidati, in the language of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Atma can not only experience prasana, but suprasana by the process of bhakti. It's directly a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2. Suprasana, yen atma suprasidati. Very, very pleasing to the heart. And then to the mind, and then to the senses. Just aligning the activities of our body and our mind with the heart. And what the heart really is described by the process of bhakti itself. Here's another nice verse. We can say it together. This is a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's describing that this tendency for love for Krishna is already within. Let's say the verse together. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karaye Udo. It's Bengali. But so Krishna Prema is already there. That's the life that's within the seed, or the life that's within the body, the soul, the life of the soul. Nitya Siddha, eternal perfection. Krishna Prema is already there. That's the sadhya, or the consequence of devotional service. There's the process, and there's the sadhya. Sadhana leads to sadhya. And the process, shravana, etc., shravanadi. The 9 processes of bhakti starts with shravana. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Remember the 9 processes? So, shravanadi, beginning with shravana, shuddha, chitte, consciousness becomes shuddha, purified. And when the consciousness becomes shuddha, the coverings are removed, and what's essentially there within becomes awakened. That's the process of bhakti. But it has to be an intention, otherwise it's mechanical. What does being mechanical mean? It's something like a vending machine. There's a vending machine, and I've got some coins, and I identify what I want. I put the coins in the little slot, pull the lever, shoo, down comes Krishna Prema. It's not a vending machine. It's awakened, but it's not. It's from the heart. It's not mechanical. That's the message from this little section. There is an inherent intention to please Krishna within the heart of every living entity. It's already there, but dormant. It needs to be awakened. The illustration over on the left, that's, the various species through evolutionary process. They go from aquatics to plants to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's right in Padma Purana. Darwin must have read Padma Purana because it's what Padma Purana says. And Padma Purana was long before Darwin came around. So there is evolution of species, but it's evolution of consciousness. And when one comes to the human form of life, there is the opportunity, please don't miss it, to awaken the original consciousness, because other life forms, they don't have the same facility. As you noticed as we were driving to come to the home, there's a number of farms, there's some sheep out there, and there's some cattle out there, and there's a couple of dogs running around, and we can't get a room full of dogs and sheep and cattle and say, please listen carefully to the process of devotional service. It's specific to the human form of life, is the point. And in the lower right corner, you'll see there's this word Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma, it's in the lower right. Some of you in the back, you can't see. Jaiva Dharma is the name of a book. Jaiva means in relation to the jiva. Dharma means, the essence of theism that's within the heart of every living entity. So the author of that book is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the father of Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master was Bhaktisiddhanta, and his father was a great, great acharya, wrote 100 books, and one of them was Jaiva Dharma. And he uses this term repeatedly, the Nitya Dharma of the living entity. So there's material Dharma, the Dharma of a household or the Dharma of a... So there's Dharma for different ashrams, and there's Dharma for different varnas. And they're described in Scripture. Bhagavad Gita chapter 18 has description of the Dharma for the different occupations, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. So there's Dharma in terms of the body, and there's Dharma in terms of the soul. Jaiva Dharma is about the eternal Dharma of the soul. Nitya Dharma. Jaiva Dharma. Therefore, we're coming to a close. Connecting to the heart means to access that which is truly of substance. That's our Nitya Dharma. Substance means that which Sat. Sat means that which exists, and Asat means it doesn't exist, or it seems to exist, but blink and it doesn't exist anymore. The state has transformed. As we were driving, looking at all these nice fields, so green. There's lots of, they don't need sprinkler system here in Portland, or Corvallis. You got natural sprinkling system. And the fields are so green. But what were these fields before they were fields? Forests. And somebody went through the trouble of clearing out the forests and made some fields to grow whatever they're growing out there. And different farmers grow different things. So that's called asat. It's temporary. It's not that the field is false or it doesn't exist, but it was something and now it's something, and later it's going to be another something. Like this, this whole project of houses. It's just part of, a bunch of big fields, and then here's this housing project. Somebody got the bright idea, let's make a housing project. Boom. I mean, it took a little more than boom, but there's a housing project. And people like living with other people because we're social beings. And then after some time, it's going to be something else, and then it's going to be something else. It's just the nature of time and the material world. It's temporary. So what's eternal? What's with us eternally? The soul is, and that's what's eternal within the soul. It's the soul's Nitya Dharma. What's that? The intention to please Krishna, but it's covered. So back to our topic, the 9 processes of devotional service are to awaken that which is eternally us. I really like this. I was going to share a little Prabhupada soundbite. When Prabhupada started the Hare Krishna movement, it was in New York City. And he didn't have anything. He didn't have money. He didn't have a place to stay. He didn't have a place to take a shower and use a toilet. He didn't have anything. He didn't have anything. And he stayed for nearly a year in that circumstance. Someone helped him this, someone helped him there, but he was like a vagabond with no place. And then after some time, Krishna helped him big time, and slowly the Hare Krishna movement, that's called the Hare Krishna explosion, it started exploding. So about a year and a half after he had arrived, there was a radio interview with the New York Post. The recording goes like this. Swamiji, you come to America, you must have had a message and a mission. Could you share with us what is the purpose of life? Pause. To know yourself. Pause. To know yourself. Prabhupada. To know yourself. That's what he came to give, because people have forgotten who they are. Because they've forgotten who they are, they accepted something who they aren't to be who they are, trying to find happiness with who they aren't, and suffering. And he knew it. And he knew the remedy. He's like a doctor with a medicine bag, and he knows the illness and he knows the medicine. Just, people, open your mouth and take the medicine, please. And when people don't want to take the medicine, it's difficult. How's a doctor going to help them? But he kept trying anyways. So the cure is awakening that which is inside the soul, the desire to please Krishna. Executing the process of bhakti is to uncover that real substance. What's the substance? The intention to please Krishna. And when that intention to please Krishna awakens, our natural life is restored, as opposed to the one that we're taking as being reality. And that natural life that gets restored surpasses all material preconditions. This is not just tolerating duality, but going beyond duality. Remember that from before? Tang satiksha svabharata. Tatiksha means you tolerate. There's duality, you tolerate it. But beyond tolerating is you go beyond it. You surpass material preconditions. And that natural happiness pervades even when it's tough times. Sounds utopian, but it's not. It's real. For those whose bhakti has awakened, it's real. It's the subjective experience. And that is beneficial for us and for all others who we may come in contact with, your family and friends and people that you don't even know. It's like infection. Now, infection usually has a bad connotation. I was sitting in a program during the Thanksgiving weekend, and a little girl and her brother always sat right in the front, and they were really attentive. But the girl was coughing a lot. And I asked her, "Can you please cover your mouth?" I stopped the class because something was being spread. And towards the end, it was the Thanksgiving weekend, I started getting something in my throat. I was starting to cough uncontrollably. So I got infected with whatever it was she was coughing. So infection is usually thought of as a bad thing. But there's a good thing, of the bhakti infection. You become fixed in bhakti and just be with people, family, friends, and people you don't even know. And something happens. The bhakti infection happens. How is bhakti awakened? By associating with one who's carrying it. That's how bhakti, it's there, but it's awakened by one who's carrying it. It's inherent and it's inherited. Both. Once we connect to this place in our heart, service to Krishna becomes so intrinsic to our being, it's always with you. Looks like Portland. Just as a downpour of rain brings life to the awaiting earth, our practice of bhakti becomes enlivened. Just by the Shravanam Kirtanam, just by doing what we're doing right now. Now, a little prasadanam, a little bit of that too. That's nice. But Krishna's mercy in different forms. Bhakti becomes awakened. As bhakti becomes enlivened, the inherent compassion within the heart becomes accessible. The compassion means your feeling towards others. Inherent. Not just on the covering. Somebody's poor, or somebody's hungry, or somebody's needy, or somebody has a medical problem, so you open a school and open a hospital and do philanthropy. There's nothing wrong with that. But if it doesn't awaken the original consciousness of the soul, then it's misfortune. You're passing on misfortune to making a nicer brand of misfortune. But it's still misfortune. So the compassion towards the soul's condition becomes awakened by bhakti. When communication is rooted in this compassion, it is truly empathic. What does empathy mean? You care for another. Compassion is like that. They're almost interchangeable, compassion and empathy. It says at the bottom, compassion does not have separate existence from bhakti. Your feeling, say it positively and negatively. Positively, when your bhakti awakens, you feel for others. When you see others suffering, you feel for others, but not just in the mode of goodness, you feel for the suffering of others, because you know what's the root cause of that suffering. What's the root cause of that suffering? It's not like just taking a tablet so the symptoms go away of some illness, but the root of the illness is still there. But if you can remove the root of the illness, that's best. So what's the root of the illness? Forgetfulness of who we really are. Therefore, what's your mission? Who are you? To bring people to the point, so that's just starting to know who you are, and then who you are is part of something that's much, 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 much bigger. We're part of the Supreme, and all other living entities are part of the Supreme. And living entities over here and over there, they're suffering because they lost that connection with the Supreme, so you want to do something. Naturally. Acts that bring pain to a dear one are not a sign of compassion or love. Now, that's saying it negatively. Here's a nice image that says it very nicely. Here's a painting. I'm sure you're familiar with the Mahabharata story, or Bhagavatam story as well. There's Bhishma Dev on the left, and there's Krishna and Arjuna on the right, and Bhishma Dev is firing arrows at Krishna, or at Arjuna rather. So, the history. How are we doing? It's almost 1 o'clock. No problem. That's you. What about everybody else? No.
No problem.
Allow me to be who I am. Thank you. So I'll tell a little Mahabharata story. Just a little break from some philosophy. Bhishma, before he was Bhishma, what was his name? Devarata. But he got his name changed when he took a vow that allowed his father to marry the fisherman's daughter. Right? But the fisherman had his benediction that my daughter's going to become married to the king. So I'm sorry, but you can't marry my daughter. So the father became very sad. Anyway, Devavrata went to the father and said, please allow your fisherman, please allow your daughter, Satyavati was her name, right? Satyavati, please allow your daughter to marry my father. He said, no. Why not? Because there's this benediction that I've been received, and you're the elder son, so you'll become the next king. Her child will become the next king, but you're already the next son. So I can't yet. My daughter can't marry your father because you're going to be the next king. Okay, I'll take a vow. I won't become the king. Now, can my father marry your daughter? No. Why not? Because if you marry and your child is born before my daughter's child is born, then your child will become the next king. Okay, his second vow, I won't get married. Bhishma. Okay, my daughter can marry your father. So he was lifelong known to keep his vow. Keep his vow. But he's a devotee of Krishna, so naturally he has affection for those who Krishna has affection for, and he has special affection for the Pandavas. There's details and details, but he became, when the Kurukshetra battle happened, he took the side of the Kauravas. Now, one of the reasons, there's multiple reasons. There's a higher devotional reason, but that one of the reasons was because he was being maintained by the Kauravas. He's obliged dharmically to be on the side of those who he's being maintained by. So he took the side of the Kauravas. So he's on the opposite side of the Pandavas. So he was made the general of the army of Duryodhana. And then after some days, Duryodhana came to Bhishma and said, your heart isn't into this because you're affectionate. You have more appreciation for the Pandavas than your duty. But you're dutiful, so perform your duty and fight vigorously and destroy the Pandavas. You can do it. Very well. You're challenging me. Here's 5 arrows. You know the story. Here's 5 arrows. You take these 5 arrows, and in the morning, as every morning you come to wake me, you bring those 5 arrows, and the next day, with those 5 arrows, I'll destroy the Pandavas, okay? Very good, very good. So Duryodhana went back to his tent, to his residence. Omniscient Krishna, knowing what happened, said to Arjuna, let me remind you of something you may have forgotten. Remember long, long ago, you saved Duryodhana's life. There was a big battle with the Gandharvas, and you rescued him, and he then pledged, you rescued my life, and so please take any benediction you like, and it's yours. And you said to Duryodhana, later. Remember that, Arjuna? Now is the time to ask. Here's what you do. You go to Duryodhana's tent tonight and ask him for that benediction, and ask him for the 5 arrows. He'll know what we're talking about. So he went to Duryodhana. And Duryodhana said, oh yes, I remember. If you like, the kingdom is yours. No, I don't want the kingdom. I want those 5 arrows. So he said, sure, I'll keep my word. Here's the 5 arrows. So next morning, he who never breaks his vow had his vow broken because Krishna's trickery, he knew it was Krishna's trickery. The 5 arrows were now taken. I, who have never broken my vow, have now broken my vow. He's going to break his vow. He promised he won't fight. I'll have him break his vow. I now take another vow. What's that? By the end of the day, today, I will kill his dear friend Arjuna, or Krishna will have to break his vow. So battle, battle, battle. And the painting is showing Bhishma firing arrows at Arjuna, piercing because Krishna was the charioteer in the front. The arrows were piercing his flesh. And this is a section taken from Brihat Bhagavatamrita, by the way. It's just in reference to a Mahabharat pastime, where Arjuna is feeling very sad, because remembering that my dear Lord Krishna was getting pained by the arrows of Bhishma, and for what reason? Bhishma had this idea of dharma that if circumstance calls for it, I'll even kill my own relative and my dear friend in the line of duty. That was Bhishma's position. But I feel so much pain because acts that bring pain to a dear one are not a sign of compassion or love. It's a detail. It's straight from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. So those of you who've been around for a while, you know what that is. Those of you who are a little bit newer, it's kind of like a postgraduate study of Srimad Bhagavatam. By that I mean, Prabhupada often said, Bhagavad Gita is the undergraduate study. Everything you need to know is there. Bhagavatam is the graduate study of Bhagavad Gita, the undergraduate study. Much more is said. There's nothing new. It's just expanded version of what's in Bhagavad Gita. And Brihat Bhagavatamrita is a commentary, essentially, on Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's really fascinating. Someday, you newer devotees, study Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam first. The day will come when you'll want to read more and more, and Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Keep your seatbelt on. It's a nice ride. Teaching acts that bring pain to a dear one are not the sign of compassion or love. This was the dharmic principle that Bhishma was following. On the battlefield, a Kshatriya should be ready to kill even his father or other relatives. So he's ready to kill Arjuna, who was his relative. Few statements. We're going to move on. When a person takes shelter of bhakti, mercy towards all living entities is a natural quality. Compassion does not have a separate existence from bhakti. The quality which, when offered to the Lord, is called bhakti or prema, becomes friendship, compassion, and indifference when directed towards other living beings. It's a feeling that is inherent in the eternal nature of the soul, this Nitya Dharma. This is taken from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings about what Nitya Dharma means. Just a cut and paste from his writings. It is a feeling that is inherent in the eternal nature of the soul. In the spiritual realm, this quality, compassion, manifests only as friendship, but in the material world, it manifests as friendship towards devotees, mercy towards the innocent, and indifference towards the offenders. If you're wondering what was that indifference idea. Supposing somebody is an offender, someone says something mean and nasty to you or to someone dear to you, you can remain indifferent. I mean, you may take some action or say something, but on the emotional level, you remain indifferent. Here's some more, again from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's writings. In the conditioned state, this compassion is extremely stunted. It starts with affection for the individual body, then widens to include attachment to one's household, then to Varna, then to countrymen. Expanding, it may grow to include the human beings of the whole world. However, compassion becomes complete when directed towards all living entities, not just humans. Patriotism is but a limited aspect of this sentiment in relation to a country. Philanthropy is compassion directed towards all humanity. However, Vaishnavas should not be limited by these mundane sentiments. They should have compassion for the complete range of all living entities, not wanting to cause harm to any of them, human or otherwise. So, that's the Nitya Dharma. The text is Chaitanya Shikshamrita. Here's some examples. I'll try to end. This on the left, this is Raghunath Das Goswami, who was so absorbed in chanting the holy name. While he was chanting the holy name by the side of Radhakund, a tiger came to drink water from Radhakund. He was so absorbed he didn't even notice it. In the center is a painting of Queen Kunti coming before Krishna when she's departing Hastinapur, going back to Dwarka. There's a nice section, Canto 1, Chapter 8, in Srimad Bhagavatam, where she's offering her prayers. Really elevated lady, Queen Kunti, super, super elevated. And on the right, our dear friend Prahlad Maharaj. It's one of the scenes where his father was trying to kill him in a pit of snakes, but he was protected. So even in difficult situations, or whatever the situation, one who, in whose heart bhakti has awakened, they're protected. Always. 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 When there is a disconnect, we communicate from the platform of mind or intelligence in order to defend or satisfy our false ego. Pretty good graphics, huh? Teenager did the graphics, not me. Good graphics. When we feel loving shelter and protection in our relationship with Guru and Krishna, qualities such as tolerance and respect for others without expecting any in return will develop. These phrases are from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In order to be steady in bhakti, there's 4 special characteristics that are mentioned. To get taste in chanting, the processes of chanting the holy name. Having no expectation from others when you offer them respect, and offering always respect. I mean, offering respect always is a challenge. What to speak of when I offer something, it's just human nature. I expect something. And when the opposite comes back, have you ever had the experience? The answer is yes. Have you ever had the experience when you've gone out of your way to do something that's an act of kindness for another person, and they read it just the opposite? Whoa, where'd they get that? But it happens. And so a person with equanimity doesn't become despondent or have a negative emotion of any kind. It's just the happiness is within. And when happiness is within, by the attempt to please Krishna, then that's sufficient, whether the outcome is this duality or that duality. They can pat you on the back and say, oh, you're wonderful. They can say, what did you do? You hurt me. You said something that hurt me. When that wasn't your intention. But so if you're fixed in bhakti, you transcend the duality. So this is same slide 3 times with some nice graphics too. Exhibiting these qualities will touch and transform the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. And it's true. I mean, that's Prabhupada's life. Or anyone that becomes fixed in bhakti, it's transformational for oneself and for others. And it says it again, just different graphics. Exhibiting these qualities will touch and transform the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. That's bhakti from the heart. It's one heart to another heart in relationship with others, transforming from someone who's in a unfortunate circumstance, or whatever the circumstance. Bhakti is transformational for oneself and for those who come in contact with the qualities of one who's carrying bhakti. And the same thing again, it just doesn't have graphics that move. Exhibiting these qualities will touch and transform the hearts of others in amazing and unexpected ways. So our topic, 9 processes of devotional service. My emphasis this class was not only what the processes are, but it should be from the heart. And when it's from the heart, something very wonderful happens within oneself and in one's relationships with nature, with the world of duality in which we live and impacting the world around us and others who we come in contact with, those that are near and dear to us and those that are remote. It just has this powerful impact. Bhakti. So there's our topic. So I hope for those of you that are a little on the newer side, it was okay, because the intention was to make something meaningful for newer people. So I hope it's okay. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
So, I guess when we keep practicing bhakti and we feel this attraction, then how do we make sure that that attraction is focused towards Krishna? Because a lot of times when the attraction increases, also the attraction to the peripherals of bhakti also increase. So how do we make sure that that attraction is also being directed more directly towards Krishna? And how, or can you just comment on sort of, because we experience a lot of attraction to peripheral things also increases, and how do we distinguish that between true attraction to Krishna?
Let me make sure I've understood your question. The the goal is, I want to please Krishna. And in the course of my moving along the path of devotional life, I meet some persons who are very elevated souls, and I may become more thoughtful about pleasing that elevated soul than pleasing Krishna. So,
Yeah, that's one aspect of it for sure. Yeah.
okay. There's another one?
For example, just even in general, when devotees come to, like you said, the infection of bhakti,
Yeah.
a lot of time, which is it's very good, but the reason is that devotees are very nice people to be around, because that's the qualities. But then that also, maybe we are more invested because we just enjoy the association.
More invested, say,
We're more invested in bhakti simply because we enjoy the association more at a material level. That sort of
okay, okay. So here's the litmus test. Who's at the center? Well, if consciousness is Krishna's at the center, then you don't have a problem. But if the consciousness is not Krishna's at the center, then you have a problem. So that's the test. Then where's the how to? It's cultivation. And the bhakti cultivation is Krishna's. Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Krishna is the center. Krishna Anu Shilanam. The choices we make are aligned with that which is pleasing to Krishna. Or say it negatively, if I don't have that alignment, I may be making choices and doing things and saying things, etc., where Krishna is not the enjoyer. Taking the example that you gave, I just like being with these people because they're nice people. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's just indicating such a person's consciousness is not yet centered. So what to do when that consciousness is not yet centered? I'm just sharing this example that you gave. Just like this little device that's up here, this is a recorder. Not a recorder, it's a player. And all of Prabhupada's recorded lectures, conversations, morning walks, etc., etc. It's all in that little device. So I'm listening recently to room conversations, and Prabhupada has just finished a conversation with an educator, a celebrity educator. Apparently, he didn't say what his age level is, but something like middle school, high school kids. But a celebrity in London, a well-known person. He wrote and spoke, and in addition to what he practiced. So he was sharing with Prabhupada what happened when he took a group of his students to the Bury Place, which is the downtown London temple. And he observed, and he later spoke with the students, that went, and he observed even the ones that kind of like are testy and prickly, and they don't accept anything, and they've got a chip on their shoulder, and they always got something unpleasant to say about everything and everyone. They liked it. They had such a good experience. And there were two things that they expressed that they liked. And one of the things is the atmosphere was very joyful. And the other was all of the individuals they met were very pleasant. Their character and their demeanor and their manner, they're not just polite, they're very pleasant. They're happy to be with them. And Prabhupada's comment was that wasn't how they were before. But so the attraction for those kids in school, they liked the company. It's nice to be with nice people. It's easy. It's a no-brainer. Nice to be with nice people. That's okay. But so you're not there yet. So what's the litmus test? That Krishna is at the center. Not it's pleasing to me, but Krishna is at the center. That's and that Krishna is at the center is Krishna, but anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. It's so Krishna is to be pleased. Anukul yena Krishna anushilanam. So that's the standard. And most of us are not at that standard. So what do we do when we're not at that standard? You continue faithfully, supposing you just like being with good people. That's okay. And just, try to align that emotion, that feeling, with Krishna is to be pleased. Take oneself out of the center and put Krishna at the center. That's bhakti. And then you just keep exercising that bhakti muscle, and it becomes who you are. Let's assume, you can assume, I can assume, and probably all the rest of us in the room can assume, we're not pure devotees yet. That's a safe assumption. We're somewhere, but we're not there. Pure devotion. So with that safe assumption, then let me do the unwanted part. The abhadras or anarthas become removed. And that's there in the Bhagavatam, how it's removed. It starts with hearing and chanting. But then there's also this internal introspection in what's going on in here. So I'm doing the hearing and chanting, but I'm also now becoming a little more mature and looking introspectively. And who's at the center anyways? I like being with these nice devotees. Or I like fill in the blank. I like the prasadam. I like the kirtan. I like music. I'll be honest with you, I like music. And I like music with devotees who like music. So I do kirtan because I like the music and being with people that like music, period. Oh, by the way, Krishna's somewhere in the picture. And that's, many of us are in that stage. It's okay. Then just continue being introspective. And how do I place Krishna at the center? And I'm not at the center. That's maturing in bhakti. But that's what bhakti is. It's bhaktir uttama. Stay with the process and be introspective. And it's good to have good association. Someone that can tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, are you centered? Or is it that's mixed with the centered? And you don't say, hey, get your hand off my shoulder, man. I got my hand on the steering wheel, leave me alone. Don't tell me. Anyway, so you have good sadhu sangha. And your heart is open. And it's easier said than done, but that's the process. By nature, a person in the mode of goodness is introspective. By nature, a Vaishnava is more than introspective. They have good association that help them be introspective. And good teachers, along with those good teachings, that help them. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, etc. Someone else in the room?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. So at the beginning of the presentation, the happiness one sets out to look for really under the shelter of the Guru and Krishna in the towards last slides. It's basically the endurance and tolerance.
That's where it starts, that's not where it ends.
And this, yeah.
The beginning is tang satiksha subharata. There's the duality, you tolerate it. Another is you rise above it. Another is its significance dissipates. It's still there because your consciousness and your place of happiness is in another place. Body and mind.
Right.
And, interactions with others that may be cruel, like with Prahlad, or other situations. Like yesterday, the one that we heard, Lakshmana was severely offended, by Sita. And he didn't hold on to that at all. He was holding on to service to Ram, and Ram wanted to do anything to find Sita. He was feeling what Ram was feeling. His empathy was at the maximum, not feeling hurt, but fixed in the mood of service. Transcend the negative emotion program.
It's being selfless. And
Yeah. But that selfless means there's a self. Selfless on the material side, and self is who you are. In Lakshman's case, there's only one thing: service to Ram. Only one thing. With love. Thick and thin.
Maharaj, the other reflection is, you did clarify very beautifully, there is no compassion without bhakti, but we do see compassionate people who may not know what bhakti is. But you did clarify.
There's a semblance of, or a reflection of, within the modes of nature. So there may be higher, supposing I'm a drunkard, and there's a fellow drunkard, and so compassionately I say, hey man, here's some liquor. Oh, thanks, man. You're really compassionate. In the modes of nature, is a reflection of what's really of the self-interest of his friend. And then you can go, modes, it can go up and can go up. But then there's transcendental compassion. Compassion is of the soul. Real compassion is where there's bhakti, and without bhakti there isn't real compassion. It's a reflection.
So Maharaj, my last question is, we do see devotees, in the path of bhakti, but we can clearly sense they are not fully compassionate to all living entities.
Yeah, of course.
Yet.
That's most of us.
So the transformation is bound to happen, that eventually they will be compassionate to all living beings?
The potential is there as bhakti becomes matured. And how does bhakti become matured? I'm going to ask our young man over here. How does bhakti become matured? Do you want to give the answer? How does bhakti become matured? Supposing I'm not there yet, but I'm somewhere. So how does it become matured? To get there, to get to the full compassion to all living entities. That was the topic. You were over there having a conversation. Okay. How does it become matured to that stage? What's the method or process? Huh? I couldn't hear you, but you're probably right.
The 9 devotions.
Yeah, okay. Just keeping it really simple, sadhu sangha. Because through sadhusanga, any one of the 9 processes, some water, any one of the 9 processes will become nourished by sadhusanga. So that select your sangha wisely. And open your heart to the sadhu-like person. And serve him. Mahat sevam dwara mahor vimuktes. Right? You know the verse? Rishabh Dev's teachings. Canto 5, chapter 5, text number 2. That's how to. Anyone else? Yes. I see 2 hands.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, thank you so much for the wonderful class. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, the examples of devotees who have perfected their life just by following one process of bhakti. But you know, like if we, I mean, we have to. We've been told that we have to engage all our senses in
You have to
devotion.
engage all your senses.
Even if one sense is not engaged, you know, we can get deviated just by that one sense. So, like just by hearing and chanting, if we just do only one process, like only hearing, can we still be
Well, you know the
purified?
answer. You know the answer. I'll help you say what you already know. What's the sign that one has heard? Devotional service. And is devotional service, I only hear. I'm sorry, my perfection is I only hear. Don't ask me to wash the pots. Don't ask me to, serve prasadam, because I'm one who only hears. But one who has heard, a symptom that they've heard is the service awakens, the service mood, and service engages all the senses. So there's the doorway, but then you enter through that door, and then there's varieties of service. A symptom of one who has heard is they'll be engaged in service.
So the examples that are given are like they've done everything, but they just
Yes,
did
like they
that
take,
more.
who is, of that 9 processes, there's a personality who exemplifies perfection attained through that process. So who is the devotee who attained perfection by Shravanam?
Parikshit Maharaj.
And only just heard, right?
He did
was a
everything,
king.
but yeah.
And he did lots of stuff as a king. But is resting upon his hearing.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Guru Maharaj.
Behind you. You got the microphone. Go for it.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. One of the slides where you were narrating Bhishma Dev's story, and
Yeah.
Prabhu also mentioned the comment that without bhakti there is no compassion and love.
That's on the absolute platform, please.
Yeah. But I didn't get a connection, maybe I missed it, how Bhishma Dev's story is related, where if we can look at that slide again,
Sure.
I didn't get that connection.
But I'll tell you, then we'll look at the slide. It's in Brihat Bhagavatamrita, and the connection is Arjun, his heart was hurting because his dear friend Krishna had to undergo tribulation. So how can a compassionate heart bear that? And he was then, in the commentary by Sanatana Goswami saying, where was the compassion of Bhishma? He's taking shelter of Dharma that says what it says. When you're engaged as a warrior, the Dharma of a warrior is you fight and even kill anyone if it's a dharmic principle of fighting. So was it a dharmic principle of fighting? No. Other than he was a dharmic principle. He was being maintained by the Kauravas, and so he had to fight on behalf of the Kauravas. And now I have my dharma that rules my behavior. He's living this dharma. So where's that compassion for one who he loves? And how can I have any solace in my mind when I remember what Krishna had to undergo? How can that be looked at as compassion? How can what Bhishma did look as compassion? Now we'll go back to the slide.
I think I got it.
You got it.
Yes, thank you. So I got Arjuna's part. Now Bhishma's compassion, Acharyas are questioning, which we can later see on in his Bhishma Stuti, where he is appreciating Krishna, that even though he was hurt and how beautiful he was
that's
looking.
Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
This is Brihat Bhagavatamrita, where the same event is looked at through the different lens. And the different emotion, spiritual emotion. This is Brihat Bhagavatamrita Part 1. It's Narada Muni goes to the Pandavas because he's directed to the Pandavas by Prahlad saying, they're the best. No, from Hanuman to the Pandavas. He's the best. They're the best. And how can I be the best? I just went through this. Anyway, so I suggest you read the section, read what's before, read what comes after, so you get the context. But there's the principles that I just expressed. You want to see the slide again?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Ji. You mentioned that Bhakti movement is not a vegetarian movement. Can you
It's
please?
not a what movement?
It's not a vegetarian movement.
Not a vegetarian.
Yeah. Can you please elaborate on that? A
Sure.
little bit?
We're vegetarian, but we're not standing on the platform of everybody become vegetarian, everyone become vegetarian. Our platform is everyone become a devotee. And you become a devotee and it's a subset. If you have $1 million, you have $10. So we're advocating the $1 million solution. Become, please Krishna, water the root of the tree, and you get leaves and branches and twigs, no problem. Water the root of the tree. Please Krishna. That's the movement, or that bhakti life is. Krishna is to be pleased. And the other good things, it's a good thing. Don't harm animals needlessly. So it's not needed. If it's needed, that's another thing. But if it's needless, don't do it. And so the principle that supports that one is bhakti. Are you a little familiar with Bhagavad Gita? Yeah. So the last instruction of Krishna is what I just said in other words. Those of you that know the verse, you can say with me. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksha yashami masuchaha. For those of you that are newer, that's Bhagavad Gita 18:66. Krishna's final instruction. So when Krishna says, Sarva dharmam parityaja, means reject or abandon. Dharma. He doesn't mean trash it. I mean, some people may take it like that. That's not what he means. He does, something else is in the superior, and those principles are subordinate to the superior principle. The superior principle, mamekam sharanam. So, we're vegetarian, but we're not, that's not the banner. It's a subset. The mamekam sharanam is our banner. And the subset is only take foods that are first offered to Krishna. And non-vegetarian foods are not offerable to Krishna, so don't take non-vegetarian food because it's a subset of mamekam sharanam. Looks like we're done. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Or Premanandi.
Actually, today there is a birthday of two devotees.
Two devotees.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, Hemant Prabhu. Very nice to take care of his wife. And Vijay Prabhu, my husband.
Hari Baba. Hari Baba.